So let's look at a mining facility. Now in a blockchain, every block has its own unique nonce and hash, but also references the hash of the previous block in the chain. So mining a block is not easy. Miners use special software to solve this complex math problem of finding a nonce that will generate an accepted hash, because the nonce is only 32 bits and the hash is 256. There are roughly 4 billion possible nonce hash combinations that must be mined before the right one is found. When that happens, miners are said to have found the golden nonce, and then that block is added to the chain. Miners have got to keep on and on mining and remining, not just a block where a change happened, but also all the blocks after that one. Every time a change is made to any block, and of course finding golden nonces requires a lot of time and computing power. Obviously they won't do this for free. So when a block is successfully mined, the change is accepted by all the nodes in consensus on the network, and the miner is rewarded financially. Like maybe if it's a Bitcoin network, then 6 or 12 Bitcoins. Let's imagine 4 transactions were performed in a block. Transaction A, Transaction B, Transaction C, and Transaction D. Now what about them? These transactions are passed in a hash function and they now get converted into a hash. What's hash? For now, just know that hash is an encrypted alphanumeric string. I will be talking about hash in detail a bit later. So now that we have these hash A, hash B, hash C and hash D, if we pair them, we will be having hash AB and hash CD, right? Moving on, if we pair yet again, we now have the Merkle root hash ABCD. How's this helping us? This is helping us in 2 ways. First, it's going to help us, of course, with obviously the data integrity, because it's creating hashes, it's encrypting the data. And secondly, most importantly, it's helping us with scalability. Scalability means being able to cope with increasing workloads. When the chain has more participants, it should not collapse. It should sustain. So this kind of pairing of hash and arriving at the hash root, Merkle root, is helping us also maintain scalability of the blockchain. Hash, hash, hash. Let's understand the power of this hash. Every block is made up of a hash of itself as well as a hash of the previous block. This hash, which is an alphanumeric string of 256 bits, is created by an algorithm which is called SHA-256. SHA stands for Secure Hash Algorithm. There are 3 important qualities to know about this hash. Number 1, it's deterministic. The beauty about this hash is that it's going to create a constant value of 256 bits from the same input today, tomorrow, and even 100 years later. That's not going to change. The hash is non-invertible. You cannot get back the input from the output. Like let's say you have this hash alphanumeric string which has been created from transaction A, B, C, D and some information. So you can't from that hash get back what was the input that led to this hash. And this is collision resistant. So every time a new hash will be created if you make even the slightest change in the input. An example, if there was an input CAT and it was entered in the SHA algorithm, it generated a 256-bit alphanumeric hash. Now, if we make a slight change to this and add a double A, it's going to generate a completely different hash. That's what makes it collision resistant. No two hashes will have the same value and collide. So this is hash. Now, what's hash power? Hash power is that computational power that verifies all the transactions and block. Now, if a horrible attacker gets control over 51% of the chain, so basically 51% of the hash power of that network, so what they can do is they can divert or reverse transactions and create a private blockchain which innocent people will think is real. This is not so easy though. So far, no 51% attack has actually taken place. We're talking about it, but it's not actually taken place. Why? Because it requires a lot of resources, huge amount of electricity and whatnot, hardware price. So all of this is like almost infeasible to acquire. So people in crypto communities are of course concerned about this kind of a 51% attack. But the truth is that for a miner to conduct this kind of an attack, they would have to invest in a lot of infrastructure, so much of electricity which can even power almost half of a small country. And even changing any single transaction, so if there is a miner with a bad intention and this horrible person tries to change any transaction, that's just not possible, because here comes the hash. They will have to remine every single block till the current block. And after doing that, after having remined every block till the current block, that would also have to be reflected on every ledger. Remember, it's an open public ledger. So everything that happens is reflected in the entire. And don't forget the Merkle tree, the one that keeps records of all the transactions. That also will have to be rebuilt. And all the work done to create the block will have to be redone. So it's obviously next to impossible. And even after all this crazy remining, if it does happen, as the next block stores the hash of the current block, now new block hashes will be reflected. This may not match the difficulty level, so this block will have to be remined. And over and above all, every 10 minutes a new block is mined. So let's just accept that the computing power required for this kind of a thing is just too much. So all this sounds good. We seem to be talking about trust, security and such things. Here comes immutability. What's immutability? It's defined as the ability of a blockchain ledger on a peer-to-peer network to remain unchanged, unaltered, thus leading to its efficiency, its cost effectiveness, and bringing more trust and integrity into. So how are we getting this immutability? Cryptographic input plus the SHA algorithm hash function leads to immutability. This hashing includes all kinds of metadata such as the timestamp of the previous block, version, etc., while generating a hash of it and establishing this link with the next. Since every block is related to the previous so strongly, breaking this chain is just not possible. So if anybody tries to alter this data or break the chain, the hash won't be valid anymore. And so it's not possible and it will easily get detected. So immutability, in other words, spells reliability of the blockchain. But then there are these two challenges to immutability. The first one, which you probably guessed, is the 51% attack. Let's say two miners, Zach and Cody, together are creating more than 50% of the hashing power of the chain, leaving Justin out. So they now have the power to spell the death of immutability. Big problem. But problems have solutions, right? So does this one. There is a concept of proof of work. For creating a block, miners have to solve a cryptographic puzzle, and the puzzle has to be solved with the help of a nonce, which is a number which is generated only once, and that nonce is incremented each time to be added onto the hash which is being generated in the block. So the hash plus the nonce together will generate a value, and it should be a low value with a lot of leading zeros, which should be lesser than a difficulty level which gets generated by the network. If the value which has been generated after all the computation happens to be less than the difficulty level, that miner will successfully mine a block. So this is called proof of work, solving this cryptographic puzzle to be able to mine that block. But a 51% attack can be prevented. So proof of work is some kind of a consensus algorithm. So it makes sure that only that miner who successfully solved that cryptographic puzzle has the consensus to create the block. But then, to prevent a 51% attack, this kind of a consensus algorithm, proof of work, is now being replaced with proof of stake. Also, it is believed that the regular computers, classical computers, with the rise of quantum computing, it's believed that algorithms such as the Shor's algorithm can break the keys in cryptography. So being futuristic and thinking about the threat of quantum computing, many developers are already recommending quantum computing to the core of the block so that such algorithms cannot defeat cryptographic. In upcoming years, with quantum computing in the blockchain, security will be even more higher. So when people say that a blockchain is immutable, they mean that it's not possible to make a change without collusion. It doesn't mean that the data can just not be changed. The second challenge to immutability is the one we discussed earlier, which is the double spending problem. With all this money talk, let's talk about the environment. So running a blockchain comes at a cost. Mining cryptocurrencies consumes so much of electricity. Every 10 minutes, some server somewhere in the world solves the puzzle and generates a reward, usually 12.5 bitcoins. However, the solution doesn't become part of the ledger until there are more blocks added. Now, the problem with mining cryptocurrency is that it works well when done at a scale. Like an individual server is worthless as a result. So mining bitcoins alone uses the same amount of energy as used by the whole island of Ireland. But not all blockchain applications suck up so much of electricity. In fact, the blockchain has also been used to aid the environment. Research are showing that 90% of the wastage of consumer goods comes from badly packaged goods or poor quality. So with blockchain monitoring supply chains, the environment in that way is benefiting, as the quality can be controlled in an open ledger system at various checkpoints. So cryptocurrency mining is famously energy hungry, but blockchain itself is not just Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So blockchain applications are increasing. So let's look at how green is our currency. There is this online carbon calculator. It's an interactive tool, and I want to see the energy consumption for cash, credit card and cryptocurrencies. We all realize that when we move money, so there's cost in transactions, not only the fee of your transaction but the value of payment. But whether it is cash or credit card or with cryptocurrency, every transaction consumes energy, and so it emits pollutants in the environment. This calculator will compare various, we'll compare the three major options. So if I want to first see the number of transactions when it is 20 million and it's crypto. So this is showing, comparing transactions in 2019 of the country of Portugal. So this is the amount of energy consumption, 19.3 billion kilowatts of Bitcoin, Ethereum and stuff. So if I just stick to Bitcoin, 19.03 billion kilowatt hours. Okay, fine. So we move on to the increase the number of transactions to 100 millions, and now it is 95.16 billion kilowatt hours. To cash, suppose I had 20 million transactions in cash, 3.52 million of kilowatt hours is the energy consumption, and if I make it max, it's 4.40 million. Not much difference in the two values, but there's a huge difference in the value of cash and Bitcoin. Of credit cards, as predicted, credit card seems to be the lowest. It's 158,000 kilowatt hours. It's not in billions, it's not in millions. A carbon footprint of environment, the carbon footprint in the environment is much more with cryptocurrencies. So what's a smart contract? Smart contract is just an agreement between the two people based on a blockchain. So the contract will be created between both of them, and both of them will obviously remain anonymous. They're in a blockchain, remember? And this contract is stored on a public ledger. So it's not only this smart contract has allowed large retailers such as Walmart, etc., to control their quality at various checkpoints using a blockchain. So some triggering events are set, like deadlines, etc., in between, and the contract will self-execute as per the written code. So this is an agreement, like a code between the two parties, and regulators and users can analyze product, market, uncertainty and trends. In 3 steps, a smart contract is made. The first step is the contract between the two parties, and the second one is setting of the deadlines and events, and the third one is the usage, all the activities and predicting trends, etc. So if we are talking about the environment and the benefits of cryptocurrency, we got to solve this problem. Developers have already solved this to a large extent. The famous consensus algorithm of proof of work is now being replaced with proof of stake. So that currency, that will also help in improving the environment. This energy greedy consensus algorithm, proof of work, is now being replaced with proof of stake. So what is proof of stake? On a proof of stake blockchain, those validating transaction blocks have to put something at stake so that others can trust them. You don't have to solve anything, but you have to put something on the chain at stake. So if these validations have something at stake, they have something to lose. So this collateral is enough. See you soon.